welcome to another episode of Business Fix. My name is Olayemi Olajide, CEO of the Market Food Shop. And today I'll be having a conversation on business development with Mrs. Toki Mabogunje. Mrs. Toki Mabogunje is a seasoned business consultant with over 2 decades of experience working with businesses across Nigeria and Africa. She's the immediate past president of the Lagos Chambers of Commerce and Industry. She's the vice chair World Chamber Federation. She's a principal consultant at TOKI MABOGUNJE Co, a business development firm. She also serves on the board of various organizations and she mentors young entrepreneurs. She has mentored me. Welcome, Ma.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much for taking out, time out of your really busy schedule to be here this morning.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Before moving on to the questions, I'd like to say thank you because you've been like a constant support to me through the years. You've helped me grow. So I'd like to say thank you so much for that before I move on to the questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So my first question is, what are the misconceptions business owners have when it comes to business development?
Okay, so, it's always a bit difficult when you're having a discussion like this to just put it down pat into a few words, because there are a lot of misconceptions. Right? But I think the biggest thing really is that everybody's looking for a quick fix, to their problems. So people want fast answers. And business development, the word development connotes process. So they want a really quick fix. And then when you're having a conversation with them, and it shows that there are certain stages they have to go through to get where they want to go, it's not always a palatable answer. So there's the quick fix mentality. There's also the mentality that, okay, if I engage with this business development consultant, it's one activity, it solves all my problems, and I move on from there. And it's not. Like I said, it's a process. And one thing about going through that process is that it enables you to commit to your own problem, to the solving of your own problem. Because at the end of the day, the business is yours, and the consultant is there to help you pass through that problem. And by passing through it, there are learning points. These learning points that you get as the owner of the business helps you in any other situation that may look similar or have some factors of a previous experience, and you'll have an idea of what to do. And I think finally, the other assumption is that it's for large companies. It's when you have plenty of money that you do business development.
Yes.
A lot of SMEs have those thoughts. And that's not true. Business development is for all businesses, no matter what their size is.
Okay. My second question is, how should business owners be thinking when it comes to business development? Because, when I was putting the questions together, I then started looking at my own business, and because I had to read up on it and everything, and I realized that okay, in a very little way, I'm already practicing it, So I think for me, that just told me that, maybe I'm looking at business development the wrong way. So, yeah, how should business owners be thinking?
So just to say to you that, like, I've always said it to you, so I'll say it here on air, that I've always been very impressed with you.
Thank you.
There are entrepreneurs who are sensitive to their environment. So even if you didn't know intrinsically or through knowledge and skill that there were certain actions you should take, somehow you read the environment and you find yourself taking those actions because you don't want your business to fail, you want it to grow, you want to do well, you want to be profitable. But really, I'll mention a few things that business owners should be thinking about when they think business development. One is the structure of your organization. It's very, very, very important. Having the right structure actually strengthens your business to be able to take on the market and take on the customers. So organizational structure is important. The other thing is market development. Everyone seems to have a general idea about business development as it relates to market development. So the market is important, So you look at the existing market, you look at the potentials in the market, you look at trends, see where you think consumer preferences are going, where the market is heading. And when you look at all these things, what you then want to do is come up with some strategies that will help you grow in that market, help your product become more acceptable by those in the market, and then grow your market share. The other thing that I am always very passionate about, financial management. Financial management. So business owners must look at, how they're currently managing the money that they make. They need to look at profitability, because sometimes when we rake in money, our product is popular or our service is popular, people are buying, money is coming in on a regular basis. We're actually not looking at profit. How much has it cost me to do the business? This money that's coming in, is there anything left over, which is my profit margin?
Am I really making anything?
Am I really making money, at the end of the day? And also, one thing that's so important in this market, and in the 23 years, I think I began business development in January 2000 when I started my firm. So in 23 years, access to finance has always been a problem. It is better today than it was in 2000. In 2000, it didn't even exist. That was when we were advocating and struggling. BOI at that time was still focusing on large companies. But quickly, within a few years, when Mrs. Evelyn Oputu was there, she turned the attention of BOI also to SMEs, because they're a big part of that market. And then banks were challenged by, I remember, the then Olusegun Obasanjo administration, when we had SMIEIS. And with the SMIEIS, that failed, but it was the beginning of beginning to make money accessible to SMEs. So access to finance is also important.
Okay. What are the important metrics business owners should consider when assessing their businesses for the purpose of business development?
When I think about metrics, there are several things, but prioritizing it is the issue. So I think, first of all, it's capacity for growth. So I'll give an example without mentioning names, so the businesses are not brought into the spotlight. But I remember several years ago, there was this group of young men, all of them were IT, graduates of IT. And they had decided to set up this company that was going to begin the digitalization of Nigerian universities, right? And they were struggling with about 2 or 3 universities. They had written proposals, they had presented to the university management, and, they were ready to take off, but things weren't going the way they wanted. Now, why they came to me was for a completely different purpose.
Okay.
Right? But having read their business plan, I now asked them, I said, why are you focusing only on universities for digitization? Oh, yeah, because the universities, they have a big problem. They are not digital. Students are not computer literate. I agree. That's today's problem. 20 years from now, will you still have a business? How many more universities will Nigeria ever establish? Why aren't you thinking education? Whether it is tertiary, whether it is secondary, whether it is primary, we all need to digitalize. This was, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. Now, if they broaden their scope, looking at business growth, right? Then you can see way into the future the kind of work you would be doing. So they had limited themselves by thinking just university, not even tertiary, university, and then thinking just Nigeria. So capacity to grow, your business idea, can it grow? Is there room for growth? The second one is market share. Think ahead. How much of this market do I want to do I want for my business? How much of it do we want to? So I have this other very quick story. Do I have time for stories?
Yes.
I have this other quick story where, there was a time when Pepsi and Coca-Cola were in very, very hot competition. I'm not saying they're not competing now, but they were in hot competition then. The TV was full of all these adverts, Pepsi, Coke, and all that. So internationally, Pepsi was really giving Coke a run for its money. And at that time, the CEO of Coca-Cola International then came up with this idea that, look, when you're competing for market share, you should compete against the situation and not necessarily against the competitor. Let's change strategy, right? And what he said was, the average American who drinks, what makes up what they drink? So they say they drink 12 ounces of liquid. Okay, what makes up the 12 ounces of liquid? There's coffee, there's tea, there's water, there's soft drinks, etc. How much of that 12 ounces is Coke? And Coke turned out to be, I don't know, half an ounce or something like that. Coca-Cola then set itself a target that they would want to hit within a certain time period. Out of the 12 ounces, they wanted to hit 3 ounces, I think it was, of every individual. And then that led them to come up with the strategy that all around the world, Coca-Cola, a bottle of Coke must be within the reach of the average individual. In Nigeria, how did that translate? All of a sudden, they moved, because I remember when I was young, we had to go to Coca-Cola depot to buy Coke. Now you can just flag down a truck and get your Coke.
Yeah.
They started branding the petty traders' shacks. They actually literally bought Coke within the reach of the average person. So market share, how much of the market share do you want? Then strategy for how to get there. I think finally, operational efficiency. How efficient are you as a business in running the business, in responding to your customers, in delivering your goods and services? How timely, how efficient? I think those three are the topmost in my mind right now.
Okay. How can business owners develop the right kind of internal processes for business development?
Yes. And internal processes are so important for every single business, no matter how tiny and no matter how big. So first of all, I say hire the right talent. A practice we have in Nigeria, SMEs, is let them learn on the job. There's no money for training. You hire the person, doesn't have the qualifications you need. So you're hoping against hope that they have a learning attitude. And then 2, you put them on the job and you hope they'll learn quickly. So no, hire the right talent, the right person for the job. Put square pegs in square hole. The second one is the business owner himself or herself should be educated on business management. So the fact that you graduated as a fashion designer makes you a fantastic fashion designer, but doesn't mean you can run a fashion business profitably. So we all need that education around business management. Then establishing your processes and your systems, you need experts. So another thing that we need to learn to do as businesses, the big companies do it well, and I guess it's because they have the resources, deep pockets. SMEs don't do it so well. So don't try to be your own lawyer, hire a lawyer. Don't try to be your own HR person, hire an HR person, or that's as your consultant, or actually hire an HR graduate into your company. So it's either you have the competence in-house or you're outsourcing and getting someone to help you do it. But definitely you have to have a well-referenced consultant. So that's another thing. The consulting market is filled with various kinds of professionals. Some that are very well experienced and have good references, all the way to some that are totally inexperienced and are just trying to make their way in the market, like a lot of other new businesses. So I say it's always easy to check on your consultant. Ask for references. The person must have worked for somebody before now. Go and talk to that person. When you worked with Mrs Mabogunje, what was she like? Did she deliver on the job? I'm thinking of using her too. I want to use her for this. So let them drop their references. Look at their credentials. Have they been trained? For example, I am a certified business development consultant, certified by Smeden, for example. So you need to look, for those things. And then I think simple things like your staff handbook, and I'm talking SMEs now.
Yeah.
Your staff handbook, the rules. Some people have staff and some staff is late, and you shouldn't be late. It's always late. What are the rules? What's the punishment? Is it a verbal warning? Is it a written warning? Is it salary deduction? Is it suspension? All these things need to be written down in a book. So you need to have this staff book that staff sign up for and get a copy of. Right? So today that we're all digital, send it soft copy. But they must sign for it so that they are aware of the rules. Some businesses say, but they're supposed to know now. Didn't they tell them at all? Were they not well brought up? Are they supposed to come late to work? Those kinds of things. Have HR policies. Then depending on your business, if you're in sales, or like you, inventory control is so important. So you're able to track, what you're selling. And several books of account. Very important.
That's very important.
Records, books of accounts. Yeah.